Did you have to leave? Andrew?
He's coming in.
Okay. His first thing was you want to talk about number one, was the vendors, owner, and contractors in that folio. I need to have the tax ID numbers with their W-9. And a lot of times what happened was, I forgot about this. When you put it in there, you don't want to put your vendor in because you don't want anybody else to use your vendor. There's a button up top that says work, not to use for work orders. That would hide their information from everybody else.
But don't do that, because it's nice to share it. Especially
Some
if they're
people-
good. Some people are very territorial about their
Hey,
vendors,
John.
and they don't want other people to use them very late.
Yes.
Well, Andrew set me up. You put all of mine in your system.
We know. You put everybody else's into, I'm sending out an email to everybody to update their information that upset the other property managers. So some, I have different property managers with different business models. So I do not get offended if you don't want anybody to use your air conditioner guy or your whoever it is that you have as a contractor, plumber, or whatever. But at the same time, I have to have the information to be able to do my work. Okay, so there is a workaround for it, but it has to be an app because it takes Lori hours on hours calling people, getting the information so we can give them their 1099s. All right. Where's my shield? I don't need this.
I almost wrote Canadians next to that. Not pointing anybody, not pointing fingers at anybody.
I am the designated property manager. All of your properties are my properties. I'm sorry to tell you that. I hate to ruin your day. You thought you were all those properties and all this. I know. But here's the situation. If I can't get a hold of you and I need to solve a problem, I need to get access to the property. So I need to have the key, a copy of the keys in the office for all of your properties.
During my office.
Right, but I need to have access to them, to access to the drawer, wherever that, you keep it in the office and I can get access.
Has a key stuck in the front, just turn the little key.
Okay, Matt learned that, so we know how to do it. That's right.
So
I'm afraid that her watchdog's gonna attack me. Yeah, he is. He'll lick me to death. But I know a lot of you do not have offices here. You're at home. I need to have a copy here to have access. And that's all of my property managers, no matter what kind of property management style you're doing. Because it doesn't matter if you're a custodial property manager or a regular property manager. I have to be able to have access to that property for an emergency. If you're doing the electronic locks, I need to have a master code made for me, or you give me your master code before you go away on a trip on a place where there's no internet.
What
Okay?
kind of electric, you mean like electronic lock boxes?
No, they have electronic
no
doors.
electronic keypads for the doors themselves.
Normally they're reserved. You only see them on properties that have a high turnover rate. Is that a nice way of saying it?
Yeah.
And that's fine. I have no problem. I can actually have a locksmith change the lock like that. I just did that on my property manager. Because they know how to override the master code. Okay, but again, that's going to be a cost to you or your owner if I have to do that to be able to access the property, to be able to get to the property.
So this came from a situation that happened. Thankfully, it was not an emergency situation.
Thank God they were Canadian.
And they were Canadian
Yeah, they
and
were
were
very
so nice. They got locked out and they,
Oh,
yeah,
they were, I was gonna say.
no, they were so nice. So, but in a situation, had there been an emergency and the property manager was on a plane with no internet or on a cruise ship or in a dead zone or whatever, we have to have a backup to make sure. Yes?
Well, I was gonna say two things. If we put like the codes for the gate or the codes for the electronic ones in the AppFolio property profile, is that fine? Or we
That's
just-
access. As long as it works, change it if you change it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I searched
Okay.
to see if any of that was anywhere.
So just to give you the thing, one of the things I came up with, how did we get the code? Was it from the mail?
No, well, we got one from the maid, but ultimately the property manager
Probably responded.
had access to internet finally and was able to get the code out to
But I,
tenant.
again, I look at any way possible to solve the problem. I reached out to the maid that cleans the property, because I figured she had.
We
an
got
extra-
creative.
Yeah, but I don't wanna have to do that. I wanna
We
save my
got it.
aces.
Good, brokers here at.
Yes, thank you.
Realty. The ones that go above and beyond.
Well, again, and when you're dealing with the shorter term leases, it's about customer service. And and even on regular property management, it's about customer service, but usually you have a little more flexibility and leeway. With the short term rentals, you don't. So that leads into our next thing. Any rent, because there's two definitions of a short term rental. In our world, a short term rental is less than a year. Okay, there's a whole other world called Airbnb, Vrbo, all of them. And that's short term rentals, okay, less, and by Nevada law, it's less than 31 days. Now ask me why they came up with 31 days.
Is it less than, so if you have one for 31 days, that's considered a short-term rental?
Right, a regular
Or short
short term rental, not a short term,
Okay, so it's 30 days or less.
but they say 31 days or less.
Oh,
Okay.
So
It's really
anything,
weird.
anything over 31 days.
Because I guess there's 31 days in January, whatever the months are, so yeah, that's why they did that.
But that's when an occupant becomes, that's when a guest becomes an occupant also.
Yes.
So anyone who stays somewhere for more than 31 days could consider, and we run into this a lot in rent control situations, which we'll
It's
get
coming
into.
up someday.
But if somebody stays somewhere 31 days, then you have to go through the proper channels to evict them. And it just becomes very
Versus
complicated.
And that's again, by the way,
it's trespassing, it's not technically.
go ahead,
Are you allow Airbnb? in
when it's,
those-
where it's legal. You have to make sure the city, county and state you meet all the requirements.
Hold on, technically,
Go
go
ahead.
back to what's her name? You can. do
Julia
Air-
Davis is who she's talking about. Go ahead.
Yes, you can do Airbnb anywhere because Airbnb is just the booking platform. You just can't do short-term rental, anything less than 31 days in Nevada, because then anything less than 31 days is considered
Short-term.
short-term.
Did you
But
understand that? 'Cause it's a little
Airbnb is
confusing,
just
the
a booking platform. It's not actually.
They're not managing the property.
Right, okay, let me rephrase my
Yeah.
question. So with the real estate license, we allowed to do that? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's
So let me
connect
answer
to
your
them.
question, I understand your question. As a licensee in the state of Nevada, you can manage less than 31 days.
You have
properties
to be a
if it's
licensee.
legal, right, it has to be, right? But there's a difference, because what I do want to point out is,
Okay, so my thing is, so Airbnb, you do not need a different license.
no,
Okay, you don't have to do anything.
right, well, you do, I mean, when
No,
you
so I
say
mean,
that,
pass another tax or something or.
No.
they-
no,
Okay, different
But-
regulation, no, nothing?
and referring to what you're calling Airbnb. That is hosting, not property management. It's different. Hosting, they don't get involved in all the stuff that property managers do. Okay, hosting is they book the reservation and make sure that the property is clean and ready to go into, but they aren't supposed to handle all the maintenance and all of that stuff, that's hosting. Okay. If you're renting a property, signing a lease, no matter if it's 1 day or 360 days or 10 years, you have to have a property management permit in the state of Nevada to sign the lease.
Well, they come down on a few hosts.
Yeah, now, again, there's a big thing, because they're doing more than just hosting, they're doing property management. That's where the division gets.
Okay, so
involved.
right now, I have a
So as
property.
being a licensee, you're safer than the ones that are hosts that are unlicensed. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a property, I'm licensed,
Yeah.
so I happen to be Airbnb, I say, okay, it's vacant this month, I'm gonna do that.
But here's the question, do that Airbnb, to do it less than 31 days, the city, the county, the state all have to approve. You have to have the owner, not you, not the property manager.
I'm the owner.
Okay,
I'm
right,
the owner
You're
and the
special.
property manager,
You're
and that's
special.
what I'm saying, so.
but no,
I wanna
what I'm
know
saying
that.
is you have to have all of those
So then
permits.
that's-
It
I
has
have-
nothing to
I-
do with property management, it has to do with you being the owner of the property,
I just wanna do 1 month.
31 days. I'm joking, I'm not joking, this is where they're gonna get you.
Okay, so I do 45-day lease,
Perfect.
okay, got it.
What a lot of people are doing to get around the rule is they're doing 45 or 2 months. leases and then letting the people out of it, so.
Which, again, if they get caught doing that, they're gonna get busted, it's not gonna fly, okay? If you have a 45-day lease and they start seeing you breaking it every 2 weeks to redo it and rebook it, they're going to come after you. They wanna make an
And they can
example.
find
of
you on all of those platforms.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. We were in the class, they were in our class. I wanna call them the police, but what do you wanna call
Code enforcement.
them? Code enforcement for short-term rentals. And they do understand how real estate agents work and owners are trying to think ways around to get around this. Okay,
And they also know when tenants are doing it,
Right.
they get busted.
right, and that's subletting, which is not allowed to on the thing. But also too, there is places in Las Vegas, in Henderson, those are the only two I can remember, is there any I'm missing? I don't think Las
Unincorporated Clark
Vegas.
County.
Huh?
Unincorporated Clark County.
Uncounted corporate. That one.
Yeah.
That it's legal, you get the permits, you get your thing. Right now, they're doing a lottery for an incorporated Clark County. So no one is actually legal in unincorporated Clark County right now,
Mhm.
because they're still doing the lottery. They're only gonna allow 2,000 permits or less.
Mhm.
And there's 12,000 illegal. Yeah, okay? I can go on for hours on this. I don't want to build out, have a separate class on short-term rentals. But good questions, Peg, because a lot of our agents are property managers and owners of properties that they want to be able to do Airbnb. Karen does Airbnbs, but she does it on over 31 days, like you said, 45. But she also has them sign a lease, so they're really not a short-term rental, not hosting. They're a tenant, and the tenant laws apply. So then there's no problem. You can use any property as long as the HOA and allows a short, because some HOAs only allow you to do 6-month leases, some allow you only a year lease. Go ahead, and Andrew.
What I was gonna say is if you are doing an STR,
Yes.
and let's say they're booked for 3 weeks and then they decide to extend to past the 31-day point, as soon as it is, they're going to like contractually stay there for longer than 31 days. The trespassing and like tenant, like the laws regarding guests
Versus tenant.
versus the laws regarding tenants change. So if you have, if they're staying for more than 31 days, you have to issue a security deposit transmittal.
Yeah.
You have to abide by the same rules of eviction and everything else.
All of
Whereas,
this is in 118A under
Correct.
regulations.
Yeah. And you should read that even if you aren't doing it, so if you run across it in one way or another, you're informed.
yeah, but if you've ever
I
stayed in
mean,
a
it tells
hotel,
you how to give a 7-day notice to
Yeah.
a stranger.
Yeah. Well, you can't, if it's a real true STR, you
don't
can't
have to.
give them.
No, you can just boot them.
Yeah, you can trust.
We like that. Let's go
If
back to
you-
the old days.
If you've ever stayed and seen someone get kicked out of a hotel, those
Same
are the
thing.
laws that apply. Yes.
Okay, starting March 1st, I'm gonna be auditing, I say I use that. I'm gonna be auditing all of the property management files. I'm gonna go through every file, make sure everything there is correct. You have been given multiple times the checklist. Matt's gonna resend it with a little updates on it. He's gonna say something right now because he has this piece of paper, so go.
Yeah, so I will resend this all to everyone. Basically, for the tenant side, you need to have the lease agreement and also a duties owed that the tenants are signing. What?
If it's on-
Yeah, if it's before 1978, yeah.
So your rentals are have to use it. 2,000.
And then we need a copy of that tenant's application. If it's a paper application, if they applied through AppFolio, it'll automatically get saved into the system. If not, we need a copy of that application. We need a copy of the tenant's renter's insurance if you're requiring it. And then when they are moving out, we need a copy of the security deposit transmittal, and we need the certificate of mailing or whatever proof that you have that you sent out the security deposit back to them.
Can you hear this all online? Shake your heads. Good.
And then also, if you are receiving a property from like another property management company, it's getting transferred over to you, or if you are getting rid of a property to another property management company, you need to have some sort of letter saying that Go Global Realty is now managing the property. This is where you pay your rent. This is who to contact in case of emergency. And then when you're getting rid of the property, you need to be sending a letter that states Go Global is no longer managing the property. We've, what?
Give them a date.
Yeah, we've transferred the security deposit to whatever real estate company. This is their office line to contact about where to pay your rent.
It should be their address and their phone number.
Mhm.
Right, so, and again, they're supposed to send the same thing. The division requires that both sides send it, because if one doesn't, it's covered. And the
It's
tenant doesn't be caught in limbo because they're gonna do what you're gonna say.
it's a CYA, just make sure that we are protected, he is protected.
But it is required, so it doesn't matter, don't argue when you do it.
Right.
And then all of this stuff should get uploaded under the tenant portfolio of Appfolio. And then on the owner's side, you need to have a listing agreement. Every single time you put a property into the MLS to rent it out again, you have to have a listing agreement for that. Because that's what the division requires.
Not the division, it's the MLS requires it.
Oh, the MLS.
The division doesn't require us to have a listing agreement on it, because we have a master property management agreement that allows us to relist the properties as long as that's enforced. But the MLS says that we're supposed to have, every time we put a new listing into the MLS, we have to have a listing agreement signed. I disagree with it. I think you and I are on the same page on that.
It's ridiculous.
It's
First of
stupid.
all, that listing form is not-
Thank you. And I've been trying to get them to, I remember, you remember back in the day. when we were-
I got it.
Huh?
Don't worry, I got it.
Thank
You
you,
say
Andrew.
that.
He's the one to solve all of your problems.
If you wanna make Deirdre happy, solve this problem, because we've had this fight for years.
It's ridiculous.
We were the ones that tried to put it together, remember, on the thing, they wouldn't let us.
I went to the forums thing at-
Yeah.
from the state committee today.
Disaster, so I'm glad I didn't go.
No, you would have enjoyed it.
Oh, well, that's good. Watching
Okay.
Tiffany Banks sweat makes me happy.
No, I liked it.
I know,
She was
so I
like,
did.
secretary tomorrow.
Oh, good, I haven't seen her in a while.
And then you also need the property management agreement along with the duties owed that the owner is signing and initialing may not. And then we need to have a
You need
sign.
duties of the tenant too.
Right, that's on the tennis board.
Yeah,
Tennis-
yeah.
We're talking about, he did the tennis first, now we're doing.
And you're gonna send that out to everybody, huh, Matt?
Yep.
Okay.
And then you also need a W-9 signed by your owner. A copy of the voided checks that we have their account number and routing number if they're gonna do direct deposit. And then we also need the tax info, mainly if the property is owned in a trust or an LLC, we need a copy of those documents.
And again, if you do not use Appfolio, get with me
Believe
and
me,
I'll
I
have it
documents you
uploaded.
wish you should have all my copies.
I'm sorry. I'll make,
Matt can go through them and get a letter to the other agent, a letter to the tenant that asks for all kinds of things.
Right,
So
thank you.
if the same owner has 5 properties, do we need a 5 agreement or what?
Yep, 5 agreements.
5 different
Yep.
ones?
Can it be
You don't
one
technically
agreement
by
with 5
law have to have
exhibits?
5
I know.
agreements.
But I want it. It's easier.
Well, I don't have 5 agreements.
Can't you have an exhibit for each agreement
That's
because it
right.
just it's like a lease addendum?
All right, I'll give in to you because I have 2 people that I respect very dearly.
But
I was the one on the forest committee, we came up with that exhibit crap and I fought you on. Yeah. Show it off all the time.
regarding the copy of the voided check, Appfolio has a way, like a document that gets sent out with a link that the owners can directly input their account number and routing
And
number.
that's fine,
So that would count as like a.
but a lot of my,
Now, I have W-9s from a bunch of mine, but I will tell you that, on the ACHs, I have, some of them don't use checks. I mean, if they're Andrew's age, they look at you like, what's a check? You know, so,
we'll draw them a picture, we'll put them in the history channel.
yeah, City National is the one that taught me that it was okay if they filled it in with the routing number and the account.
But some of
number
our,
and signed it.
some of our clients can do that. So if there's a check provided, okay, instead of the link,
Mhm.
I have no problem. Or if they send you a typed out thing, say, this is my routing number and my account number.
I was.
That's what I just need to have it there so it can be verified that that's where we got the information from.
Yeah.
So when Lori does it wrong, I can yell at her instead of saying that.
I have in my management questionnaire, I included the routing number and the account number at the bottom, and then it gives a space if they want to attach a copy of the voided check.
Well, the problem is again, they can put it in wrong.
Mhm.
And I end up sending $500 or $10,000 to the wrong account. Then they blame me, even though they're the ones that put the number in wrong. Yeah, huh?
You can get it back.
Sometimes.
Well, we've even had instances in the past where it's a Wells Fargo account, you have one routing number when it's, but if it returns because it's the wrong routing number from the
That
bank,
bank,
that bank for here,
that branch.
that branch.
I have that. Okay, so we'll move on. Everybody understands that. We're gonna talk about transmittal summary versus.
Hold on. And then also, we need copies of all of the applications. So that includes anything that's
If they're
approved or denied if they're paper applications and not through
I
AppFolio.
have some people
So
that,
you need rejected apps as
Yeah.
well.
that's the cover me when the division says I.
The other thing the division requires that you done is that you have all the dead deals. If a
Right.
deal is not consummated, even if an offer is written, even if that offer is never accepted, you're supposed to have a copy of it.
Right,
And they should all be in transaction list. As, you
But
know,
not, I have lots of them, nobody's ever asked.
good,
But I have them all,
Yeah.
in case you ever need them.
thank you. Okay, Matt, you done?
Yep.
Okay. Transmittal summer. Transmittal summers,
Summary.
a
Typo.
typo by Arlena. Everybody take note about this. I'm gonna get
And and dismayed.
transmittal summary versus a reconciliation. I had this come up today. Or it didn't come up today, but I talked about it today.
It has come up.
Has come up. Is a transmittal summary is for the security trust account, not anything else. You can't modify the form and try to make it a balance sheet or a reconciliation for the whole account.
Okay, wait, back up.
All right,
So this came because rent is rent and security is security.
welcome to Nevada.
So the transmittal, the security deposit transmittal should only have items that pertain to deductions from the security deposit. If you have an owner who accepted prepaid rent
And is refunding it.
and is refunding it, that is a separate issue and it would be two separate checks.
Right.
Now you can go.
No, she just said everything else. Does anybody have a problem with this? Up there on the screen? Okay. When the property, wait, what's this one? When the property comes
But
in.
Matt already covered it.
Oh, okay, so that one,
Appfolio hidden properties.
right. Just to make you aware. For the non-licensees, this actually should have came up on the other one. But for non-licensees, property managers, if you want to refer your property management to us, I have, how many property managers?
About 7 or 8, I'd say.
So,
Jessica manages my property.
huh,
Jessica
Yeah, I know.
manages my property.
No, this was for property managers.
referral?
The hidden, no, Appfolio hidden properties.
Oh, I didn't do that?
Hmm.
Oh, I missed one.
It's okay.
Number
Okay.
5,
That's why I'm here.
Which one am I on?
number 5.
Number 5?
So once a tenant moves out and the property is hidden, they no longer have access to the portal, the owner or the tenant.
That doesn't mean they're not gonna get their 1099. I mailed them all out, when, yesterday, 2 days ago?
Yesterday.
Okay, I met my deadline, which was tomorrow, today.
Yeah.
Today. So, but some of our owners are very proactive. They think they're gonna get some taxes back. Yeah, right. So they're able to go into their owner portal if the property is current and pull a copy of their 1099.
Provided that it's checked off that I want, will receive an electronic, and
Right.
then, on the owner's page.
Right, but. So what happened was one of our owners that sold their property. Wanted to get his 1099. And he didn't have access to it. Okay, because the portal's closed because he sold the property. All right, so. We have a copy of all 1099s. Okay, so you can reach out to Lori. And she can pull it out and email it to you to email to the customer, so it's coming from you, you look like a hero. Okay, Or, I would, actually, that's the way I prefer you to do it. We talked about this, because if you unhide the property and you don't put it right back into that hiding again, I'll get charged an management fee from that folio. And then also there could be other problems going on with that. So it's better that you just reach out to Lori and she'll send out the 1099 or to you to send out to the client.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about, luckily, Go Global does not have that many properties that go into hiding. And, you know, type thing in that
I
situation,
hide old tenants.
huh?
I hide old.
Well, tenants still get affected with this. It's only the owner side.
But if the owner still has properties with us,
Right.
then they would still have access.
I forget I ever said that. I don't want you to think I'm
On to you.
Yeah, if you have a problem with Lori on it, because she said, email me or Armina, and we'll get it to you. Okay? Am I done now with that one that I missed? I want to get to number 8.
Andrew's got something.
There was one thing that I ran into. So if you use Appfolio and you inherit a property from an owner that currently has a tenant and or if any existing tenant, when you move them into Appfolio and you put in the initial lease date, for whatever reason, Appfolio automatically generates a leasing fee dated for the day that they moved into the property. And if you don't check, like I did once, those leasing fees will get charged to the owners, even though there shouldn't be.
Right.
So when you move a tenant into Appfolio, you pick the initial date, then you have to go find the charge back, whatever the initial date was, and you have to reverse it, or else the owners will be like, where's my $700? Well, not even that. It's Appfolio. If you put a leasing fee in the property profile, when you move a tenant in, regardless, it'll automatically generate it. There is no way to opt out of it. I've asked them to do that, but that'll take them 10 years for them to change it. 5 for Appfolio, but
10 years being less.
regardless, just be aware that if you do that, because we've probably all done it at least once, you'll want to make sure that you remove that leasing fee. You can just reverse the charge, find it, you click it, hit reverse charge, that's it.
You're talking about like if you have 4 guys all renting rooms in the house and they're sharing the lease and one of them moves out and another one, and you move in a new one?
No,
No,
it's
so
not about,
Inheriting a
this is
property
if
that
you're
already has a
inheriting a
tenant.
property that already has a tenant.
because you could put in the original tenant's lease starting date,
Mhm.
that would trigger it to go back and charge for those months that we weren't managing the property, correct?
No,
Yeah.
it's just the leasing fee.
Oh, just the leasing fee.
But also, sometimes what it'll do, you have to also review the tenant ledger, because what it does sometimes is it calculate. Let's say they moved in on 1/19, you took it over in 20.
Right.
It's gonna produce rent bills going back to when they originated on 1/1/19.
Because that's what you put in as when the start date.
Right, so you gotta go into the ledger and reverse all the rent charges.
I think this sounds like you and us 4 have to have a conversation and maybe do a special class on the uniqueness of Appfolio.
That's
But I
not
also
good.
want to challenge some of that, but I think we may not be doing it right where we could avoid it if we entered things in a little different.
All right, I'm
I
waiting
don't
for
think
them
we're
to
having
call me
a
back
problem.
on something, so I'm gonna see if I can bring that up.
I might even invite Athena to come over. No, because she's the one that worked with me on Apple and we had worked around a lot of these problems without much difficulty. Okay,
Okay, so real quick,
yes.
touch on referrals.
Referral.
PM referrals.
Pam referrals. Like I said, this should have been on the other one, to talk about agents that are referring to.
But it's also, it could be PMs.
If you have an owner that's a giant pain in the ass that you don't want, Andrew is looking to scoop him out.
You better sell it in Chinese then.
Or to Jessica.
Yeah,
Jessica's actually.
Depending on how hard you want them whipped. Jessica would be the harder whipper. Andrew's a little softer.
I don't know, Andrew.
Oh, no, I-
Andrew's pretty good. Yeah, he's.
I have very little.
So, I mean,
He's
we.
pretty solid.
You don't want, instead of losing. I explained to him the situation, but sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's just. they rub you the wrong way. There's times when Armina works with someone great and I can't stand them, vice versa. So it's good to have someone you can refer over a client to and all that, and make it equity fair to everybody. Okay, you know, I always believe in being fairness to everybody.
So how do you suggest we pay the other agent, or they pay us for the referral?
I think you need to, there has to be discussion between the two of you.
And then wherever that is, you write it down and tell them, Lori.
Excuse me, what was that?
Whatever it is, write it down and tell Lori.
What was that favorite word I love? Write it down.
Yes.
This whole thing with handshake crap, put it in writing before the transaction, not at when you're closing and you want to come in and say, let's renegotiate our fees, but things like that, okay? Me and Armina do not like to get involved in squabbles about money between you. You should have worked it out in the beginning.
And that applies to every transaction.
Right, and that applies to even management.
Well, and it also applies to sale transactions, because.
Yes.
No, that's, yeah.
Jessica and I are 50-50 partners on a listing, so I'm
Yeah.
sending out the listing paperwork on today.
Get out of the butt, she's been skating.
I break up a chick fight in the lobby with two girls who've been friends forever and a day, fighting over a commission split. So, and they did not have it in writing.
Yes,
So that's what started all that.
okay.
So, and neither of those agents are here anymore, so I can say it. So
Not
anyway,
good property management referral, but I didn't get time. I have two agents in Mexico. So if you clients down there want to buy rental properties down there, I am opening up a property management company in Playa del Carmen, specializing in STRs, short-term rentals. Okay, because down there I don't have any problem compared to Nevada. Good return on investments, great properties, decent prices. It's kind of like Vegas back in 2009, 2010. Okay, so if you have clients, they pay a good referral. Okay, they pay, I think, 5% referral fee. 10%. Oh, you're good. I don't know, 10%. Now, but we can talk about referral fee negotiating and all that. Do you understand the uniqueness about Mexico? This area that we deal with, I think it's everywhere though. It's when the investor puts down the 30% non-refundable deposits when you get paid. So you don't have to wait 2 years for the unit to be finished. Because normally you like to buy new construction because then you have a somewhat of a warranty on the property. It's in good shape. It's gonna pull the highest rent return ROI. So.
And most of these are furnished already, so they're ready to be rented out as soon as.
But also to throw a bone to Italy, she can find the same thing over there if you want to do Europe. So, and she's over there right now. Now, I don't know about Europe on when they pay, because we haven't closed one yet, but we will probably in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I'm
So
fairly
I'll have that
confident
figured
that
out.
it's similar to how it is here.
Okay.
After everything's closed and deeds are recorded and things of that nature, that's when you get paid.
okay.
All right, any other questions, sir? Oh, and by the way, anybody has anything up in Idaho?
No,
It's
but
too
let
cold.
me turn this really around.
Yeah.
Do you folks do any lease options?
Not in
Right.
Nevada. The statutes in Nevada say that if they put up option money, they have an equitable interest in the
Yeah.
property. And if they have an equitable interest in the property, they cannot be evicted.
So it's not no, but it's not encouraged, right?
And that's
I don't
because-
care what Michael says, I won't do one.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not by law, it doesn't say you cannot do it.
It doesn't say you cannot do
But,
it.
you-
But you
I mean,
cannot
you better
evict
say-
if they don't-
Right, exactly, right. So you have to know that you cannot evict if you still want to do it, that's up to the
So
owner.
if you just see, if they put down the deposit, then you have.
If you
equitable
accept
interest.
option money, if you get paid option money, they have an equitable interest in the property.
So be careful hear what she's saying. If anything is, there's any kind of that money going towards the property, purchase it. That's down payment. That's monthly
Overage
override.
on your
Right, okay, she is absolutely correct. It means they have equity in the property. And most likely that person's gonna ask, if they're smart, to have the lease recorded against the deed. All right, and that clouds the title, so you can't just evict them and all of that stuff.
So
Go ahead.
what clouds the deed again?
The recording the lease to the property.
So in other words, step away from the lease options.
I'm gonna go with Kay on this. Come talk to me if you're going to do a lease option. You have to be careful, it can be done.
Right.
And it
You
has
can do
to
an
be,
option and a lease.
Yes.
And they have nothing to do with one
Correct.
another. They don't even mention one another.
right,
Then the only problem you have is, so now you can evict if they don't pay, The problem is you still take an option money, you can't sell it
Have
until their
fun,
option
time.
expires.
Right, but they will be responsible for the maintenance and repair, all that, so there's pro and con, so you know, either way, it depends on the owner,
You
how they
have to
wanna
be
do it.
careful how it's structured.
Right.
Yeah, very much especially here, because
I
I'm,
wouldn't allow them if I could.
It's about maintenance.
again, it's how it's written.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, they're gonna be doing the maintenance, but how about checking on it? If you do a straight up rental, you can check twice a year or whatever. and
You
stuff
check
like
every day
that, you know, stuff like that.
without
I mean,
annoying them.
would you incorporate that into the lease that, hey, we're going to be checking on this property twice?
If it's a lease, you're by Nevada law,
If
you're
it's a
allowed
lease,
to,
then-
with 24 hours notice to check the property. As long as you aren't annoying, what's the word, disturbing the tenant where they don't have. Right, she said that, was that phrase I love it.
Right to quiet into it.
Now, that's open for interpretation. Michael Shiro means you come to me anytime within a year, you're bothering.
So,
Where Lori, she wants to see him every day, 'cause she wants to yell at him because she wants this fixed and that.
so, Roy, that's probably a conversation that you want to have more in depth in another forum, but brought up an interesting point. And we've dealt with recently an
Yeah.
agent who had a big problem with a lease
Big-
option scenario. So it's kind of a little bit of a hot button, but thank you all so
Wait,
much.
I just want to add one quick thing.
Yeah.
Going forward, anytime you enter a new property, would you be kind enough to shoot me an email? Just so I can review it for accuracy before any accounting happens.
Okay.
So we can correct any issues that there may be.
That's fair, I was looking at it.
Yeah, I just to make sure that it's in the
Make
right,
sure you look at it.
I will. No, because I
You
found
just
one,
dedicated yourself to that, I've got 9 property managers who's gonna be shooting you.
that's okay, I don't mind, at least I get to review it, so I don't have to find out after the fact.
So when you do that,
That's
send
what you
it
look
back, email back to them saying you reviewed it, I want it on record.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay?
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a good night.